Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into episode 2 of the Off the Leash podcast presented by Fresno Esports. With us today, we have two very special guests for us. Two members of the championship NECC Overwatch 2 team, Coach Ryan and Xemp. Guys, thank you so much for taking some time out of your days. I know you guys got a game day coming up, part of activation by the time of recording. So season hasn't started yet, but these matches are key, so I'm glad you guys are able to take some time for this.
Oh yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having us.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with a nice, quick, little easy question. So what got you guys into Overwatch?
So I got the game a week after its release. My old roommate at the time, he was doing a review copy because he worked at, I think Destructoid, I think he worked at, I can't remember, but he was doing a review copy for it. Told me to get it to play with him, so he has someone to play with. Checked it out. I liked it. I was playing a lot of Call of Duty at the time. That's what I grew up with, and then I decided to check this out. So it was really cool. It was fun, and then eventually I just got more and more into it. And then that just became like my main multiplayer game. So
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I've played many different games from all sorts of styles and whatnot. So when I heard Overwatch was coming out, it intrigued me. I was always into like shooter games and whatnot. So I definitely picked up on that, and I decided to try it out, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, it seems like you enjoyed it quite a bit after all. You stayed with it this long and eventually resulted into a championship.
Yeah.
And by the way, so how did it feel to win that championship? Because that was a high impact game against a team that had absolutely been steamrolling NECC competition. St. Ambrose, they were no joke.
Yeah.
And you guys were down 1-3 against them. So let's go ahead and start off with that point right there. How was it like being down 1-3? I was in the room, but I'll let you guys take over.
So I mean, I never really treat any maps any differently, whether we're up 1-0 or down 0-1, whatever the score is. I don't really focus on that. I'm more focused on just like what mistakes are we making, what are the mistakes are they making as the opponents, and whatever micro adjustments we need to make and stuff like that, and just trying to look forward to the next map that we have ahead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really dwell on it too much. I try not to, just because like if it is, I'll record it. I will, we'll go back and look at it later. But it's just more like, okay, like we're on to the next one, Or if it's, whether that's like player mentals, making sure that we're still being positive and trying to clear headspace, with our breaks. Or just like after we crushed them, like, okay, like let's continue to do that. These are the things I was looking at that we did well in, repeat that again, do it again, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. At least that's how I treat every single game, but mostly it was just keeping the mental, and Sundown in particular actually was doing a good job of that, trying to keep everybody all hyped up. So, but it was good. Being in that room makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. For me personally, I think we as a whole, the team and whatnot, like we worked really hard to get to where we were in that point in time. So being able to get to the championship, was icing on the cake, essentially. So it was, great being able to get there, and being down 3-1 was definitely a tough task to come back from. And obviously with that mentality, it's really tough. But we all, kept up good spirits with each other, and hyped each other up, and we were able to make the unrealistic expectation at the time real, and was able to get the championship. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and that moment had everyone hyped up.
Yes.
And speaking of hyping up, we actually do have something else to be hyped up for. We got a couple new players to the team this semester, isn't that correct?
Yeah, we picked up 2 players so we kept the same fall roster that we had previously, and we picked up 2 new players, a DPS and a support player. Starting with PB Cord, who's our newest support player. He's GM3, specializes in Lucio and Zen. He also has Ana too, but mostly the primary 2. He's a senior this year, so he will be graduating. We're only going to have him for the 1 semester, but we figure this is our best chance to try to run it back to back. So that'll be a good addition to kind of throw in there and fill in that kind of that Lucio like gap that we kind of need a little bit more to push us into like the next tier. And then another player actually was a former player named Sushime. He used to play in the original team back in 2020 when we first started up. He was on our B team at the time, and then he moved up to A because he was performing very well. And then he played with us for about a year full time, and then dropped just because he lost a lot of passion. Plus, a lot of the guys that were part of the original team graduated or transferred, so he just didn't really want to come back to it. And then he contacted me during winter break and was contemplating about coming back and everything, because it's his last. I believe this is his last year, so I think he's just wanted to do something more with the program. So I'm excited to have him back. So I'm already familiar with the skill set and everything like that. So again, it's another one of those key things where I can kind of put him where I feel things need to be added up. So he specializes in Tracer and Echo, and right now Tracer is incredibly powerful. So having him back and watching him, I remember when he came back his first scrim, I was just like, yeah, I forgot how much of a difference it is to have that caliber of player. So plus his history and experience, it helps a lot with the team too. So
yeah. And how does it feel on your end, because you're actually in the game with these two new players? How's it been for you? Has the team been adapting well? Are there little bits of mix in the system? How's it been for you guys?
Yeah, I think for the team overall, it's been nice to see some new people come in, just to adapt and kind of see a change of pace and what we can do going forward. I think with adding these new two players, it's not going to be easy, right? We're going to have to build chemistry together. We're going to have to, get used to how each individual plays and whatnot. So, I think once we build up that chemistry, it'll show with our results later on, and, looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm super excited to see what you guys are able to do. This chemistry, I know, was a big thing last semester. I talk about it a lot with Fresno Esports. Chemistry plays a big factor. We saw that difference with Valorant, how they were able to turn around their 1-2 season, make it as runner-ups in their league, and you guys obviously champions. So, and then let's go ahead and dive into some Overwatch now, because we are approaching a brand new competitive season. With that, we're finally seeing the nerf to Ramos, which I am super grateful for myself. No more 2-minute long ultimate to deal with. And then on top of that, a new map that could be potentially in play. Let's go ahead. Do you know much about the next upcoming patch?
There's just a couple of things that they haven't gave up hard numbers yet. They've just talked about characters that are being reworked. So Ramos' ult being reworked. The interaction between Sojourn and Mercy with her blue beam or the power beam. So there's a lot of talks about that, and then there's other heroes that they want to experiment with. So we haven't seen any hard numbers until Tuesday, and then Antarctica. I don't think it's I don't remember the official name. I think it's just Antarctica. It's going to be a control map, so that'll be kind of refreshing to see. We haven't had a new control map, I believe, since Busan, and that was a couple of years ago. So it'll be nice. Control is always good because it's simple, best 2 out of 3. So it's always good to see. So it'll be nice. It's nice and refreshing after seeing the same maps over and over again. Especially when we're scrimming, it's just used to the same handful of maps that people like to play. So it'll be nice to see. It'll be good to mix things up and have better strategies. So.
And then what are you looking forward to, Xemp?
Definitely the Ramos nerfs for sure. It's pretty frustrating to play against when he's just there's no end to his ult, and he's just constantly, making it unfun, I feel, for the most part, just because it feels like you can't really do much against it. So it's nice seeing a nerf coming through for that. And as far as the new maps and stuff, I haven't seen a whole lot about it yet, so I'm still got to catch up with all that, but looking forward to a new control map for sure, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, super excited for that. And then let's go ahead and dive into something new that I really haven't had a chance to discuss with you guys. Something that had came in since the new game did come out, Overwatch switching to Overwatch 2. Push. I know some people have mixed thoughts about it. Some people do like it, others not so much, fair to say. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
It's our best game mode. New Queen Street, we've only lost once on New Queen Street the entire semester from fall, and that was during our championship game against St. Amber Rose when we got kind of picked pretty hard on it, which was disappointing because it's that was literally our best map all season. So personally, I like it. I think Assault was so boring just because it's it was more defense heavy favored. So a lot of times you would have ties, or you just get ran over, or it would just be boring for holding 4 minutes. I think the biggest disappointment is just which would happen a lot on ladder anyway, is that it's a 4-minute game mode you would have it up to 3:30, full holding it, and then the last 30 seconds, like you blow it, they just use 6 ultimates and capture point, then you have to play the game another 4 minutes. So it's just kind of annoying that like you can do so well for 3, hell, you can even go up to 4 minutes, and the second overtime starts and they start dumping ultimates, then it doesn't matter. Whether you held it for, then the vice versa way, you can have 6 minutes in your time bank and then try to attack point B and then never get it, and then it goes down to 0, and then the enemy team can just win like flat out from just having better coordination. It wasn't a very balanced game mode in my opinion. Push has its flaws as well in terms of like spawn and everything like that, but I think when it first came out and I started coaching it, I think I kind of picked up on how to actually do it properly, and how to run it properly. So as long as I get into ingrained, particularly in the way, because push has technically the neutral part, your first checkpoint, and the objective to finish it, and then there's like 7 minutes on the clock. So my biggest thing is always trying to win the neutral fight, take the first capture point, and then from there pretty much like it just kind of goes. Very rarely do we ever finish the map, but if we do, that's good. But the way you divide it into sections, play for neutral, play for checkpoint. We lose checkpoint, okay, gather yourselves up instead of staggering in, gather and then refight at neutral. When neutral, go back. You know what I mean? You're just killing time going back and forth. And then when we get down to the final 90, 60 seconds, I try to say, okay, let's just stack ultimates. Because at the end of it all, just like how an assault map was, the last, once it hits overtime or its last 10 seconds, just ult dump and win. Because they can't do anything at that point and the game's over. So it's just about just trying to make sure you divide and conquer and play it smartly. So, and I think I picked up on that really quickly, and so as a team. So I think that's why we do so well with it. I would like to see another push map because there's only 3. So it does get tedious playing, especially when we scrim. We scrim 3 times a week. So we usually play every map, every week. We play the same maps over and over. So that would have been nice. Control is still good, but having a new push map would be good. But I'm all in favor for it.
I was about to say, I've been casting, and I think I've seen New Queen Street almost every single time for the most part, whenever it does reach push. So I can see why, plus it's small map pool, totally get it.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 too, because we either they ban or we ban, and if we ban Coliseo, for example, it's either New Queen Street or Esperanza. So it's a coin flip. So that's why we're going to see it more times than not. So.
What do you think?
Yeah, personally, my favorite is push. I actually enjoy it quite a bit, more than the other ones, surprisingly. New Queen Street is my favorite map for push for sure. Esperanza, I think, is really good too. Coliseo could use a little work, but overall, I think push is great. I know a lot of people probably disagree with that, but I think it's fun. I think it's a change of pace from the other ones, and it makes things a little bit more interesting. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite game modes for sure.
Yeah. And then with that, I think that's about anything else, unless there's anything else you guys want to cover. I mean, there's a lot with Overwatch 2 with the amount of experience you guys have.
Not particularly. Just this spring semester, we just have Mountain West and NECC. We considered doing ABC, but with everyone's schedules, it's too hard to try to compete into that one right now. So come fall, we'll see what happens. So, but it's another good semester. So we got 2 new pickups, but they're both higher ranked players. So I expect us to be moving up into champions, possibly legends. Hopefully not, but but like champions, we have a good run. So, but I think we're gonna have another good season, strong season, and hopefully just run it back for another one.
Run it back. I like that.
Plan.
We might have to use that on socials now. That might have to be your guys' thing. You guys are running it back, and then Bounded is running the villain arc right now. So
Yes, they are.
super excited for that. Well, once again, thank you too for joining us today for the Off the Leash podcast. But before I forget, where can the audience find you guys at?
So I'm at B4MVFAN on Twitter and Instagram. Pretty much anything. You just type in that name and you're going to find me everywhere on Google. But pretty much on Twitter, I'm just going to be talking about the team, highlights, wins, and stuff like that on the more professional side. So
For me, I don't really have too much social media, honestly. So unfortunately, I don't have too many things you can follow. But who knows? Maybe I'll make some stuff to follow me soon.
Well, keep us updated on that so we can put it down in our description down below in the YouTube channel. But thank you guys so much for tuning on into this episode of Off the Leash. We have exciting plans for the season. This is one of them. I'm super glad that we have finally been able to get things off the ground, start posting more content. As for us, the Esports, we're hoping to lift up even further than what we have in the past. So thank you guys for tuning on in. Like I said, if you guys want to find them, links will be down in the description below. This is Ricky J, and have your guys a good... I'm really bad with outros, can you tell? Thank you guys for tuning on in. Peace and love. Have a good one. See ya. And we're good.
Let's go.
Sick.
That
was fun.
That was quick. It was like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it from you guys.